While everything they say about the power of compound interest is true, the reality is that you won't experience the actual power of it until you pass the 100K mark. So getting saving and investing, it may be a difficult process regardless of how good an investor you are at first. This may be particularly difficult for people who are starting from scratch and have student loans. It's hard to argue with people trying to reach this saving or investing milestone. This was according to Charlie Munger, Vice Chairman of Berkshire Hathaway. But why is getting from 0 to 100K so much harder than moving from 100K to 200K? Saving or investing your first 100,000 is difficult because you have very little money in the market, which is generating additional money through compounding at this stage in your financial life. This is due to two factors. Most people who leave school are unlikely to make a lot of money either through official work or entrepreneurial activities. So there is little money to save. When it comes to saving and investing, it is critical to create large surplus between your total income and total cost. This extra money can be used for a variety of things. The first reason is obvious in that, generally, our savings rise as we age, thus it stands to reason that we will have no savings while we are still young. Second, less obvious, but significantly more significant factor is compounding. If you have $1 million invested, you can easily increase your holdings by 100,000 because you are already earning a return on investment every year. However, if you start with 0, you have very little money in the market earning a return and cannot fully benefit from the principles of compounding. How can I save and invest my first $100,000 more quickly? In most people's experience, lowering expenditure is the easiest and fastest way to increase their surplus, so the savings rate percentage, which is the total savings divided by total income, should be a key indicator. Although this is not an exhaustive list, try reducing your monthly expenses by carrying out the following. The majority of us have some extra fat cash in our monthly budgets that can be cut. Renegotiating your rent and looking for better mortgage terms, deals on necessities like Wi-Fi, cell phones, etc. To save money on gas, consider leasing a less expensive car or, if possible, refraining from leasing at all. Unused subscriptions like Kindle, Amazon Prime, Netflix and others should be audibly cancelled. Instead of driving, use public transportation or walk more. Eat out less often, order takeout less frequently, and drink less alcohol because the cost of alcohol can add up, especially at bars. If you work, see if you can work from home more often to save money on transportation and lunch. While cutting your spending is the simplest way to increase your surplus, it isn't the most effective because there is a limit to how much you can do so before going hungry. Increasing your income is the most effective strategy. Consider that you earn $30,000 a year and have expenses of $25,000, leaving you with a surplus of $5,000 to save. You could increase your income by reducing your spending by a few $1,000s, or you could find a way to advance at work and earn $45,000 a year, which would have a much greater impact. Here are some tips to increase your income. Tip number 1. Maximize your pension contributions to benefit from the company match. Tip number 2. Consider starting a side business or project in the evenings and on weekends to supplement your income. For example, you could coach a neighborhood football team or provide babysitting services. In conclusion, the sooner you can save $100,000, the more money you can make and the more expenses you can cut. What should I do with my first $100,000? After you have earned your $100,000 in cash, you want to protect it from significant losses and continue to grow it. Don't take risks that could lead to significant losses. Don't risk your money on products with little inherent value. Instead, make wise decisions and keep it safe at all times. While everyone's goals and risk tolerance are different, the best option for your initial investment is a low-cost index fund on an online platform. This is a good place to start investing because it exposes investors to a manageable amount of risk. Investing in the stock market through inexpensive index funds enables you to benefit from compounding and reach the $100,000 level much more quickly than you would otherwise be able to. So starting to invest with your first investable cash is a great idea. Saving and investing your first $100,000 is to invest your first $1,000 and establish good investing habits early on. How long does it take to accumulate $100,000 in savings? The length of time it takes to save $100,000 mostly depends on your income and savings rate. The greater your salary and savings rate, the quicker you can save money and reach the $100,000 milestone. The ability to save up to $100,000 is obviously far greater for someone making $75,000 per year than for someone making $25,000. But overall income is not the only factor to be taken into account. If their expenses are high, a person making $75,000 will not be able to save or invest anything. Consider the following example to highlight the need to invest your money as you save rather than keeping it in a bank account. Persons A and B can each save $20,000 annually because they have respectable salaries and high savings rates. Person A saves money in a bank account with a negligible interest rate, so it takes them about 5 years to reach the $100,000 milestone. Person B, on the other hand, puts $1,667 into an index fund at the end of each month. In contrast to Person A, who needed more than 5 years to save $100,000, Person B would need just over 4 years to save the same amount. Why does saving and investing more money become easier over time? Compounding makes saving and investing more money easier because the more money you have invested, the larger the potential value of the returns you may receive, and consequently the faster your wealth can grow. It's important to remember the snowball effect. When you invest more money, you can expect higher returns that are then added to your investment account. For example, a 10% return on a $10,000 investment produces just $1,000 in returns, but a 10% return on a $500,000 investment produces $50,000 in returns. The way dividends work is similar. If you receive a dividend of $50 per share, the number of shares you own will undoubtedly affect how much of that dividend you receive in subsequent shares. The snowball effect. Should I increase my investments as my pay rises? As your pay rises, you should increase your investments. The key is to avoid lifestyle creep, which happens when your compensation grows while your spending increases at the same rate. If you maintain your spending level, the surplus between your income and expenses will increase, allowing you to increase your investments. A few factors are crucial for investing success. The value of the contributions you can make to your investment account, on the other hand, may have the greatest impact. You may only be able to make a small amount each month when you are young, but if your pay grows over time, you should be able to make a larger contribution to your investing account if you resist the temptation to increase your annual spending in proportion to your income. How long does it typically take for someone to save $100,000? While it will obviously depend on your capability to make a good living and keep your expenses under control, it is entirely possible to save $100,000 by the age of 30 or even earlier. It's also important to keep in mind that depending on where you live in the US, saving $100,000 may have very different effects. A person with $50,000 in savings living somewhere with a lower cost of living, such as parts of Eastern Europe or South America or even in Southeast Asia like Philippines, is in a great situation than a person with $100,000 in savings living in New York relative to their purchasing power. You could be a millionaire in the Philippines if you hold that kind of money in your savings account, if I may add. There are a number of things to think about when trying to accumulate $100,000. You should think about your projected time period for investing, as well as the risks you are willing to take in exchange for higher returns. You may get back on track by taking an objective look at your monthly budget or creating one if you haven't already. If you create and stick to a personalized plan, money will start to accumulate. If you're ready to make your first $100,000 or more, subscribe to our channel and click the bell icon to be notified of our upcoming videos where we explore and uncover ways on how to successfully become wealthy.